too, but I haven't, tried it before.
Okay, well, there's a first time for everything, mate. You are officially live.
All right. Hey, guys. How's everyone doing?
Hey, guys. Hello.
So I can't see comments, right? I can't see anything from here, right?
Yeah, so they'll eventually start pitching up. I think we've got one from Madhu. How are you, Madhu? We got Amanda on board. Crystal Ann. No, it's not Ezra, but it's Steve Tan, who's awesome and is next level. So there's Jack Evans with us.
Nice.
Right, cool. There we go. Hell yeah. Cool, guys. So this is Steve Tan, and if you don't know him, well, I think you have to know him. He's a bit of a legend in the e-commerce circles. He's someone who has just, there's certain levels of e-commerce pros, and Steve, is just a level above. Let's just call him like a bit of a gun. Let's not use the word guru. Let's say he's a gun. And Steve, I'm going to hand over to you. You can maybe just introduce yourself and say hello.
Hey, how's everyone doing? So yeah, thanks, Jar, for introducing me. So yeah, we have been doing e-commerce for quite a while. We started back in 2004. Started with eBay. Playing around with physical products. Then slowly we transitioned over to e-commerce because we thought, having our own store is probably more stable than selling on eBay. So that's when we started, sourcing for alternatives to use. So, there's definitely no technology like as convenient as what's compared before. But nowadays, I really feel everyone's so lucky to have like Shopify. And of course, I'm not promoting Shopify, but what I'm saying is it's so convenient in a way that everyone can just get a new store up and running and start driving traffic, in a matter of like hours compared to what we had before. You have to set up servers, SSL, PCI compliance, merchant accounts, and so on and so forth. Probably take weeks before we can get everything set up. So yeah, looking back, things really took off for us probably 2008, 2009. So we have been generating, but definitely the revenues that we have done before, probably I would say the maximum we've hit per monthly revenue back in 08, 09 was probably around 400 or 500K. It's really hard to do any breakthroughs further from that. But, given the fact Facebook has so much new functions, Facebook was one of our primary drivers as well back then, but, they don't have any pixels, no lookalike audiences, for us to play with. So it's really hard to scale them further. So yeah, that's pretty much what my experience from before. So I've been through a lot of startups, software companies, so on and so forth. But software and e-commerce is probably going to be my focus for the next few years. So yeah, that's pretty much about me. Thanks.
Well, I just want to welcome you, mate. I'm very appreciative that you came on and joined us, and spoke to the tribe and, dropping a few knowledge bombs. I really, really appreciate it, mate.
I love your tribe. You have all these people inside and you're always sharing so many good stuff and go nuggets.
Like swear words, right?
Sorry?
Like lists of swear words.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Brock Hamilton is just saying hello to you. He says, welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Brock.
Vanessa says, good morning. Phil says there might be issues with the video. Phil, I'm not seeing any issues on my side, and I'm looking at the video on my Facebook group, and it seems good. If anybody else notices anything else, just give us a shout. Adam Chung, yo, Tan Bros, the Vader boss in the house. Simon Rigby, looking very sharp, Garth. Yeah, two things. I dressed up for, Steve. I was like, I got to look good for this guy. You don't get to meet a legend every day. And also, I'm going to have a drink after this, because I've been working my butt off for the last, couple of months. So it's time for a drink. We got Soti. He says, hi, boss. Which must be you.
This guy is in our group too.
Okay, good. Phil says it's all sorted now. And Vijaya, now good. Good stuff, mate. Okay, Steve, I'm just going to maybe run you through a couple of questions. You know, that I get a lot of feedback from the tribe. You know, I want to incorporate them in this, you know, in these interviews. So, Ham, what's up? So I'm just going to run through a couple of questions. What's V3? Is that a heart? I don't know what that is. Anyway, I'm just going to run you through a couple of questions. And yeah, mate, just drop some knowledge on us, you know, and we'll just have a casual chat.
Sure thing.
Cool. Okay, so now, just for the Vader Nation, now this topic is a bit sensitive, and you know, they're asking about sort of what kind of products you sell and price points and cogs and all of that. But it's a bit of a bit of an etiquette thing. You know, everybody runs their own you know, store and their own sort of products. So I basically never ask people what they're selling. It's just a case of etiquette. But Steve, maybe you can give us an idea when you hit your first successes, right? You know, whenever it was back in the day, when you started hitting your first successes with Shopify and Facebook ads, can you give us an idea of the sort of characteristics of the products you were selling? You know, what were some of the points you had to think about when you were selling these products?
So I think one of the characteristics is this product has to have like mass appeal. So like sometimes we don't drill like too like small products that has very small market appeal, because like, you know, if for example you only have a custom an audience size of probably like, you know, a few thousand or probably like 400,000-300,000, you know, you probably can burn out the audience in probably just a few days with like really fast scaling methods. So usually we'll try to aim for products that's very general and has mass market consumer kind of products, because like in this way, if we find a winning product, because it's the same whole process that we do every single day, it doesn't waste our efforts in finding a winner. So we can like, I like to use the term like we milk the product, right? So once we find a winner, we have to make sure we can milk it as long as possible. So with a smaller niche product, it's probably harder, but we do have like, you know, for products that's more niche oriented, we usually sell it more expensive. So probably like for general stores, we sell anything above $20, nothing below, because we thought, you know, it's hard to actually really, you know, I mean, I see a lot of stores selling things from $9.90 to all the way to $18. It's fine, but for us, we prefer to sell anything above $19.90 all the way up to $100. And we have stores that's more niche focused, that's selling products probably $100 to $200. And we, of course, we don't expect to move the same kind of volume and the same kind of like, you know, huge traffic to all these products. But, you know, selling products that's more expensive, 100 to 200, you could probably just have like 50, 60 sales, 100 sales per day. It's good enough for us. It's easily another 10K per day product. Yeah. So, I mean, we don't really worry about competition too much, because when you're scaling a product, I would say 99% of the e-commerce marketers are probably watching the same product. So you just have to, you know, scale it as fast as possible. So once you milk finish it, you know, probably the rest of the people are just getting breadcrumbs, you know, from the leftovers. So we just move out of the whole market.
Okay, awesome. That is legendary. I love that. It's quite interesting though. I've sometimes caught a product at the back end of its, you know, of its popularity. And even then I was still able to do between 5, 10, 12K a day, even on the back end of a product. So it's quite amazing that, you know, I think people don't actually get, you know, how much, you know, if you really work your arse off, how much money you can actually make from a single product. But it's sometimes better to be, you know, at the start end of that curve. And it's also quite scary how quickly people scale a product and how quickly it can go out of fashion. You know, if it's been, you know, within like a month and a half, this product's already reached its peak, and you know everyone else has moved on. It's quite scary how quickly things happen.
Yeah. So like, there's a saying in ClickFunnels, like you're just a funnel away, right? So for e-commerce, I think we have another saying: you're just one product away from like 6-figure store. I mean, revenue wise, right? So I mean, it's definitely not not something that's not possible. I think it's very doable for a lot of people, especially the market's so huge, right? And there's so many different kind of products that everyone can sell. AliExpress has like thousands and thousands of products that you can choose, and every single day there's new products coming out. So I think now is really, really a really good time for a lot of like new players to enter the market, seasoned marketers to really cash in on this. So it's like, I think it's gonna still go very strong for the next few years for sure.
Good man, good man. It's always interesting to hear the landscape that the big guys, envision, because a lot of people are scared about Amazon, and their delivery times and then taking over the world. But the reality of it is, in any market, there's got to be a couple of players. There can't just be one big player and that's it. He holds entire monopoly. That's not generally how it works. There's a few circumstances where that does happen, but I mean, there's going to be plenty of room for everyone to take a share, I think. Yeah.
Definitely. I think, you have to be kind of the first mover, advantage, because like definitely a lot of if you're targeting US, I would say probably 99% of the people already know of Amazon. So the only reason why they won't buy from Amazon is probably because it's not available. But there's one product that we have been selling last year that actually has been Amazon for quite a while. But for every product, that's like a seasonality trend. So sometimes, a product that's really, really popular last year is gonna sell well again, probably after the whole trend, the whole season. So probably something that sold well on Christmas last year would probably do very well this year. So I mean, that's a huge tip there, because there's a lot of products everyone knows that sell pretty well last year, right? So a lot of opportunities for Q4 for everyone.
Awesome. I think I'm assuming, Ashraf, you're not talking about me, but Ashraf reckons you look like a genius. I reckon you look like an evil genius sitting there in your chair. That's cool. I like that. Okay, cool. So, Evan, Steve, okay, what do we got here? What do you think about price point? Now, specifically, I reckon, I sort of test products from a low price point to start off with. I like to have I think my feed might be slowing down there, but I like to test my products from a low price point and then, gather data. And then when I start getting a lot of data, a lot of information about my customer, then I start increasing prices. Can you give me more information around what you think around pricing?
Okay, so usually, our cost of goods plus fulfillment and everything, we try to control everything within around 30 to 40%. 40% being the maximum that the percentage could go. So usually we'll try to price it at the lower end as what you did. And if the conversions are great, we'll just try to increase $1 every single day to see how it affects the conversion. So if once the conversions decrease a lot significantly, I would say probably 20 to 30%, then we know we have already hit the maximum possible pricing. So definitely we do test a lot of pricing. But I wouldn't do it too crazy, jumping a few dollars every single day, probably at the lower end, depending on your price point. So if you have a product that's probably like 70 to 80 bucks, probably you could test 3 to 5 bucks every single change, and nothing, too drastic, or else you would probably just affect a lot of your revenue, which we don't want that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that the next question is quite interesting because it's around time management, right?
Yeah.
For example, how did you manage to find time to sit today with the tribe and do an interview for an hour or so? How are you managing your time with all the stuff going on in your store? Is there a secret, or is it just good time management, and how do you do it?
I think it's actually just good time management, because pretty much a lot of the people doing big volume, they have a very good system of standard operating procedure, SOPs, right? So for us, we use a lot of tools like Trello. So we train managers that's like Scrum. So it's like a software process for weekly sprints. So because we used to do some development and software, so we use that for our daily routines as well. So that when we open up our Trello boards, everything is so obvious for us. We know what's going on every single time we open the Trello board. And we have weekly tasks, weekly projects that the whole team has to meet and hit every single time. So definitely we have all these systems in place to make sure, we can find time outside of our daily routines. Definitely Evan is helping me a lot as well. So I have more time now to explore different business opportunities. But I think we do have a good system in place with a lot of clear requirements, and we have our managers and team players doing all the daily hirings, interviews, and everything. All the setups are done by our staff. We trust them a lot, and we give them very, very good payouts and benefits and bonus. That is why they are loyal to us. They work really hard, especially we do all our hirings offshore. I mean, this is no secret, but we do a lot of our hirings and VAs all based in Philippines. And I mean, hiring people in like Singapore, US, the basic pay is a few thousand per month, right? It's really expensive. So like if you give a bonus of probably 100 or 200, it will probably make you look really bad. They'll probably say, oh, my boss is a cheapo, right? But if you in Philippines, they really do appreciate when you offer them a good bonus. They really thank you from the bottom of their heart that you really appreciate what you're doing for the company. So if whenever we have like some really good sales or, the customers are really happy, we do offer, like the best customer support team because we have a few teams managing a few stores. So we do have some KPIs that we look to make sure like all of them do work hard to hit the best customer support team. So it's not a lot of money for us, but definitely gives them really good motivation. So like, I wouldn't try to squeeze, find the cheapest VA possible, because what you're gonna get are the shittiest VAs possible, right? You want the cream of the crop and the same kind of people that has the mindset you want to work with you. That's my logic. I think it's no secret. So we do offer, our VAs are easily 50% or 100% paid more than what the industry is being paid. So yeah, I mean, no one can easily poach what we have because they have good pay here. We treat them nice, and we're planning to build a new office in Philippines probably within next year. We're probably just gonna, because I've been in Philippines there, so I'm kind of I know the landscape well. So, but most of 99% of our staffs right now are VAs, virtual assistants. They're not based in the office. But what we're gonna shift everyone out to a physical office next year. Yeah, that's our plan.
Oh, great, mate. Now that you mention it, I can understand why my Singaporean virtual assistant doesn't like me very much. Because you know what? Two things. A, she was the most expensive VA I found on Upwork, but she does amazing work.
Okay.
But B, I didn't give her a bonus last year, so no wonder she doesn't like me very much.
No, I mean, it's probably you have to measure how well, or you have to question yourself sometimes. What happens if this VA goes missing or poached by someone else?
Yeah.
If you ask yourself the question, you would know how important he or she is to you. So if he or she is really good, I think definitely the Philippine standard is actually 1 month bonus. That's required by law if you have stuff in-house. If you have all the legal stuff all sorted out, it's actually 1 month. But we usually give 1.5 months of bonus for end of year bonus.
Okay. What do you think is a reasonable cost for a VA doing fulfillment from Philippines, average?
We don't. All our fulfillment are done in China. So for our Philippine staff are mostly our CSRs, customer support, product managers, product research, Scrum managers, managing all the travel boards and everything. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, and some accountants there. We don't have fulfillment people in the Philippines because of the language, because all the shipping and everything's done in China. So all they do is probably just check if this product has been shipped or not. So like there's one person in China that speaks very good English, is the point of contact for our CSRs to contact her in the event if there's problems with logistics, if this product is out of stock. She's the point of contact that they will all go to. Yeah.
Okay, very, very cool. I'm quite interested. I've also got an IT or information or tech background. Have you guys managed to, without the out-of-the-box software, have you managed to implement code or anything or tech that makes your life a bit easier? Or is it all just out of the box, off the shelf?
We do. I mean, previously for our different projects, it's actually not active now. We do have really customized solutions, API integrations for Shopify Plus. But right now, the project's like probably something that we have done previously, like back in 2015 or so. 2015, we've done some special projects, startups. So it didn't went so well, so we did close it down. So I mean, we're now focusing on just all the things that's out of the box. Nothing really super customizable because it takes a lot of time for us to set things up and all the custom softwares and APIs. It's definitely something that you should only look into if you really want something that's unique to your business.
Awesome. Thank you so much, mates. Omar, let's jump into Omar's question now. So you're doing e-commerce for X amount of years or months or whatever it might be. During that time, what would you say is like the biggest problem or challenge you faced, in your journey?
I would probably say the biggest challenge.
Facebook ads.
Facebook
ads killing you.
I would say talents because we do rely a lot on our staffs. We don't actually like to do all the things ourselves. So probably like training someone really well and having someone, just quit and just do something on their own or being coached by someone else. I think one of the biggest challenges we have is actually handling talents or hiring A players. I think that's really hard because everyone can do very well on interviews, right? They can speak everything they want, but it really boils down to, it's hard for us. I actually don't really like to hire males. All our customer support are 99% females. Part of the reason is females in Philippines are not so ambitious in the first place, and compared to males, because males probably they have to feed the family, right? They have all kind of stuff, so probably it's being forced that they have to work harder. They have to find, but females, generally, they like the stability of the job and they really value the connection with the boss and the company. So yeah, I mean, that's one of our biggest challenge. The second biggest challenge I would say is, initially when just getting started, probably finding the best selling product is one of the challenge, because when you don't have so much cash flow or so much budgets, it's definitely something, it's going to be frustrating for you to keep testing and you have no results. You're going to get depressed, you're going to get, all the negative thoughts start coming out. But probably from the experience we know is all about testing and finding the right audience for the right products. I mean, from the experience, I think that's something we have and know in our mindset. It's actually just grinding in, hustling and just don't give up. I mean, a lot of the people just give up and thinks it's a magic bullet. What I commented on James' group today, right? Everyone felt, e-commerce is the next magic bullet, like what CPA used to be, right? a lot of CPA marketers are now coming into the e-commerce game because it's like more white hat. They don't have to deal with all the Facebook bans and everything. So a lot of the big players are actually coming in, which is actually a good sign that e-commerce is definitely gonna be the next biggest trend after CPA.
Yeah, and I think we're very fortunate to be in the position we are at now, while it's still going through its growing pains, and while it gains popularity. I'm glad we're sort of on the upward trend, and not starting at the peak. So that's great to know. Philip says yes. Gary says testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. Okay, what we got here? Let's see. Okay, so at what sort of point? And I think this question comes really from a lot of people going through this pain of wondering when e-commerce is actually going to pay off for them. So they go through all this pain, they try everything they can think of, they don't get the results they want. So at what point, Steve, did things start changing for you, and what was the trigger process? So maybe you read a new book, maybe you spoke to someone, maybe you joined a mastermind. What was the point at which things started changing for you?
I think for us, it's actually being aggressive in constantly testing out new traffic sources. So back in our days, Facebook is relatively new compared to like Google AdWords, a lot of different, there's no, I would say probably very little native ads back then. So, we have been doing well on Google AdWords and SEO. So SEO is something we rely on a lot. So we probably generate 10, 20,000 per month from just pure SEO, but it's really not scalable. So that is when we kind of kept testing new traffic sources, Google and Facebook. So it's, when someone is new in testing a new technology, a lot of the first thing that comes into mind is procrastination, right? A lot of people, all right, I'll test it tomorrow. Yeah, it's too hard. So I think part of the success that I would actually consider myself lucky because I was really, really new and one of the, probably one of the earliest people that tested Facebook. I think we spent like hundreds and hundreds of thousands with them, every single month back in 2008. So we're really one of their really early VIP customers. So I think if we are lazy and we don't even test out new things because we procrastinate when trying to test out new stuff, definitely I would say we won't even have this success right now because if we are lazy and don't test out new traffic sources, we definitely won't ever even know Facebook. And if we don't know Facebook back then, right now, if we enter in the market, we're probably already a bit late because everyone's already doing it, Facebook, and all the CPMs, all the CPCs are so high. We could get like CPCs for US traffic back then for probably like 10, 20 cents, Facebook, right? And the conversion rates and ROIs are just insane. You could spend like 100 and have like 1,000 in returns. Oh my God. But it's not every single day, but the ROI is generally so much higher. And you have to use a lot of external tools to track your sales. There's no pixel optimized conversion and so on and so forth, right? But yeah, I think it's just amazing what Facebook has right now. Like the lookalike audiences are pretty much what we use right now for scaling.
Okay, fantastic, mates. I'm quite guilty of that. I haven't dived enough into Instagram influencing, and I realize that it's a part of my business that I'm missing, and I really need to climb on board. But you get so caught in certain technologies and you just keep on pushing it. But at the same time, I'm leaving my businesses at risk, by not exploring another technology. So you're spot on. You're spot on there.
Right now, majority of all e-commerce players, I'll probably say at least, just Shopify, drop shipping, smaller kind of e-commerce advertisers are probably relying 80 to probably 95% on Facebook only, which is a very high risk because you're putting all your eggs in one basket, right? And like definitely, I'm not saying Facebook is gonna go away for like anytime soon, but if you don't start looking for alternative traffic, one day if your ad account gets shut, that happens very frequently. If you're doing like things that's not legit, or you're doing some like borderline gray kind of products, the next thing you might know, your ad account will be shut and you'll be banned from advertising on Facebook. And so that's when you could be doing like 10,000 in one day, and the next thing you would know, you'll be doing zero or probably just few hundred the next day, which happens to a lot of people that I know, and probably some gurus, that I've met. So yeah, I mean, definitely I would suggest exploring. The next easiest thing I would actually recommend is actually SEO, because it's kind of like a no-brainer, because you could easily rank for a lot of long-tail keywords for some products. So we do a lot of SEO for our good sellers, because it really is a blue ocean rather than the red ocean in Facebook.
Exactly. I also remember, like a lot of the guys that I've noticed have had success in e-commerce have a PPC background.
Yeah.
So they seem to come in, they're doing about 2K a day on PPC. They come into e-commerce and all of a sudden they're doing power of Facebook ads. It's actually quite amazing how much value the platform has brought to everyone. Very, very interesting. Let's see what we've got here. Is Suru, I might leave some of these questions till later. Adrian, good to have you. Adrian's a French gentleman. I was actually on his French group. So it's good to have him. Fantastic to watch you both. Thank you so much for your tips. No problem. Soham would love to know about your insights on remarketing and retargeting frequencies of email marketing. So guys, I will get to those a little bit later. Let's see what we've got here. So the next question is how you manage to scale consistently and effectively. So Steve, is there a lot of complexity in Facebook ad scaling, or is it a lot simpler than people think?
I would say it's not as complicated as what everyone's thinking. Probably, sometimes it's just as simple as just increasing the budget. But, to put it in layman terms, it's actually, do you have the guts to screw up like an existing successful campaign or ad set, right? Because a lot of people would say, all right, I'm afraid, I increased the budget and my successful campaign or ad set just go bananas, right? So for us, if you can't scale, we rather not sell. We rather not sell the single product. So we're willing to sacrifice a winning small budget campaign or ad set in the hopes that we can scale it harder. So definitely, I would not say we're successful all the time, but there is a good 50 to 70% chance that the CPA is going to drop in the next few days once you scale it up like to higher budgets. So one of the reasons why we use manual bidding is probably because we could control the CPA more, right? But things has been a little bit crazy in the last few days, so we actually lost like 10,000 in 1 hour yesterday. Yeah. So we didn't lose the money. It's just probably profits that's supposed to be in the pockets, right? But what I'm saying is we're not the only ones, right? And we have sent in the details and the complaints to our account managers at Facebook and demanding them to give us a response. But you guys should know this doesn't often turn out the best scenario, right? So they will give you some excuse and some very vague answers. So I wouldn't comment that publicly, but we'll see how it goes, because we have a lot of complaints on that, and we have we have a few hidden ad account managers in our group that's actually reading all the replies and everything sometimes. So yeah, I mean, hopefully it'll take a better turn. So right now we do a combination of both manual and auto bids. So I wouldn't say which one is better. We use both pretty much. But if you don't have a good team in place, doing a lot of manual bids is actually very time consuming because you have to adjust bids. You might have like a super winning ad set yesterday, and you might realize that the next day you're getting zero traffic, because like the whole bidding algorithm changed. There's people in the market that's bidding more than you, and the whole Facebook auction thing. So if you're not like the most sophisticated, or probably you don't have a big team, or you don't have a media buyer, probably auto bid is probably the way to go. And it's not exactly too complicated to run an auto bid campaign, right?
Okay, I had a bit of a laugh there because I remember when I was scaling auto bids, right? And Facebook put my account under manual review, and when it kicked back around, it basically blew through $2,000 within a couple of hours, right? Just blew through it to the point where I think I had about $1,600 or $1,700 worth of conversions. So I lost $300 or $400 straight away, and then I still had to deliver the products to the customers.
Yeah.
When I complained to them over Facebook, the Facebook support chat, I complained to them over there, and my CPA or my CPP went from $8 to $30, and they said to me, no, it's market conditions. I was like, come on, guys.
You probably, you're gonna spell the F word pretty soon when it comes to that, right?
Exactly, mate.
I mean, it's hard to control. Like I think yesterday we have a cost per purchase of $800 to $1,000 yesterday. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and we have a few, bro. That's not funny.
Oh no, don't! You're making me cry. Stop it.
Yeah.
That would kill me, mate. Yowza. It's actually a nightmare. Stop. You're scaring everyone, Steve.
But now it's better. So we reduce the bids and increase our budgets for auto bids. So everything is back to normal. It looks fine right now. So settle yourselves. Nothing to worry about.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I actually think that answers Isuru's question. So thank you, Steve. Let's go back to another question. Okay, this one's about finances, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to guess that the tribe's more asking around the fact that there's, especially when you're scaling, your cash flow issues, right? So Stripe's doing a payout of 5 to 10 days, and PayPal's paying out, 6 to 12 days, depending on the reserve. And not specifically to scaling, but generally, how do you manage finances? Especially, it's very difficult to track, especially if you're doing multiple products, how much it's costing you, your cost per acquisition, how much you're paying for your VAs, and you're doing this. How do you manage your finances?
You probably shouldn't include your VA costs into when doing ads, because that's gonna go under monthly operating expense. So I'm actually very weak in finance. I have a good accountant that handles all that for me. So what I actually just do care is probably the good cost of goods sold. What kind of cost per purchase we're looking at. So that's the few things, and revenue. Everything goes into one of the few main points that I do actually focus myself most. So the rest would actually, the cash flow, one of the good ways is actually using PayPal to pay for your Facebook ad spend, because you don't have to withdraw the money. So usually we do have a lot of money on PayPal, so we'll just use that to pay off all the ad spend. So you don't have to wait, the whole 7 days withdrawal and everything. And for Stripe wise, it's it's actually harder because you have to wait. For you guys, it's probably 7 to 12 days. For us, it's probably 7 days. But for us, it doesn't actually make too much difference, because we do have a lot of cash flow laying there. So probably that's the advantage we have because of the volume that we're moving. And also because of the volume that we're buying from suppliers, we actually do get net terms from them. So we do pay them in like 30 days on later for some of our suppliers. So yeah, I mean, that's a few unique advantage that allows us to scale without a lot of problems, because I do know there's a lot of people that could scale, but because of all these cash flow issues are being stuck in scaling. Yeah. So well, there's no good solution in this. So probably what you could do is actually negotiating with your supplier, making sure that you guys are in good relationship. Make sure that you find the right supplier that can support you to scale. I think that's really important, because like having a good supplier and a bad supplier makes a ton of difference. People that could support you, he could probably manufacture more products in advance just to make sure that you could ship on time, and not like a shitty supplier that doesn't support you. All he cares is just getting cash up front. Then probably you're gonna have a harder time to scale.
Oh, magic! Thank you so much, mate. I think for the tribe, guys, there's a couple of reasons you want to mature your business, and as your business grows, you're going to face other challenges and more problems are going to crop up. But I mean, there's some strong reasons for you guys to stop, using Herbalo to try and get every single line item through your Shopify store ordered, automatically, and actually make relationships with your suppliers and do things properly. I mean, as Evan's described, you can also, input some negotiation skills there and improve your business. So, sorry, Steven, did I call you Evan?
Steven.
Did I call you Evan?
Yeah, you did.
I'm so sorry, dude.
You owe me.
You guys like power twins. Just Evan. Steve, thank you so much, mate. Sorry about that. Don't push the end broadcast button, please. Okay. Now, I'm just going to guess that you're more in the general space. I'm just guessing here, but in terms of remarketing and retargeting, any hints there or any tips? Specifically, Soham's asking about frequency of remarketing. Any tips there?
We probably would want to hit someone that has actually seen more than 2x and above for remarketing, because there's a lot of controversial in this, but we usually try to keep it not anything that's above 2.5. Probably that's when they get the ad fatigue, because they have seen it again and again and again, and you're gonna see very bad probably click-through rates, and your CPM is gonna increase. So we probably try to just hit them, probably 1 or 2 more times with retargeting. And we do use we use a variety. We do use ad roll, we do use shoelace, and we do our own custom retargeting as well. I mean, for us, we don't care which source as long as they make money. So that's just we're just ROI focused. That's it.
Good stuff, mate. I don't know how to pronounce this. Levan. He wants to know, how do you test a product and recognize it's a winner or not? So, Steve, do you reckon there's early indicators of a winner? Or do you let it ride a certain amount of time or certain ad spend? Or, how do you recognize a winner?
I mean, if you can have sales from PPE ads, right, it's definitely 70 to 90% chance of a winner. So, I mean, if you could sell with PPE, there's very high chances you could sell super well on website conversion optimized events. So we do have a lot of different ways in testing, but usually the indicators that we look for is actually we have to at least test it for 3 to 5 days. And the budget wise, we actually allocate at least 3 to 5 times CPA per product. So if your CPA for a product is probably $50, you should price your budget to be at least 150 to 250 US.
Okay. I have 2 techniques for launching new products. but I have to have an indication that they're going to do well in the first place. But I will literally on day one, I'll either launch like 150 to 200 WC, or I'll launch 150 to 200 PPE at low budgets. I prefer the PPE method because I can keep the testing to like, $200, $300 for the first 2 or 3 days, depending on how quickly it spends the ad spend. But that's just how I launch. I just go balls to the wall and see what happens. Yeah.
150 ad sets for that.
Yeah, I launch. So there's some people that do, just a couple of interests.
Mm-hmm.
I go like 20, 30 interests, and I just launch. Either $5 each, $6 each, $3 each. It doesn't really matter. But if I believe that product is going to win, based on my experience, I have no issues just sticking it on the wall and seeing what happens. But it doesn't always turn out. Sometimes it's just lost ad spend. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
in which case, I'm kicking myself.
100, we don't launch that much, but we do launch about 30 to 50 ad sets for a new product. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so, Philippe, what's the percentage of winning products in your store? So I'm guessing the question from Philip is that, how many of your products that you launch actually win? Is it an 80-20 type rule, or is it like 5%?
Definitely, the 80-20 rule always applies to all big projects. Definitely, the rest would be probably just upsells. And, we do have a lot of products that just, sell organically. People buy this and probably want something else, just to get free shipping. So I would say 30% of the products in our stores are winning products. The rest are just like, companion products. That's it.
Okay, good stuff. Awesome. Now, here's an interesting one. This is more philosophical. You would have seen my interview with Nick Peroni. One of my favorite questions is, what do you think separates the guys that are winning to the guys that are still struggling? They could have been a year in the game, they're still struggling. What do you think is the differentiation factor there?
Tough question. But
I love the way you sit back in the chair like an evil genius.
Probably the go big or go home mindset is actually kind of critical, because I do know a lot of people that's doing well because they are just aggressive in the first place, but definitely not stupidly aggressive, right? So you have to know what you're doing and probably just be more aggressive. So definitely you need the budget in testing products. So there are sometimes I hear a lot of questions like, I've been testing like thousands of products, but I only have spent 500. So I was saying, how much do you spend per product, right? So there's a lot of mistakes on our team, internally, whereby we just don't allocate sufficient budget for a new product. Last time we did test, so usually now we test products with bigger budgets because we want to make sure we're not missing out on winning products. So the reason being, last time we saw a product, we are really the first ever person in the market in selling this product. And we tested it with probably like 200 US, and it sucks big time. So damn, this is a shitty product, right? But the next thing we know is probably a better marketer or more patient person came in and took the product and went up to 30 to 40 million views. And yeah, so it probably took him 2-3 weeks to hit 40 million views. And we are like basically kicking ourselves in our butt, like, dude, we have the super first advantage to this product. And why didn't we give it sufficient attention? We're just so into testing new products that we didn't allocate sufficient budget. That's actually one of the biggest mistakes that I kind of feel a lot of newbies or people are actually just giving up way too early and not giving it sufficient time or Facebook to optimize. And you're just saying, oh, this product is not a winner. Whereby in the first place, it's a hidden gem waiting just for you to discover. So I think we learned our lesson the hard way. I think this happens a few times. So that is why now we do actually slow down our pace a little bit more, try to be more patient, just give this product a little bit more time to prove itself. Yeah. Before, putting him in the garbage can. Just say you're a failure and just dump it, right? Yeah.
It's like that. I actually get my clients a product, right? I said to them, here you go, guys. And then like 2 or 3 days later, they're like, dude, this thing's not working. What's going on here? So you run through their funnel, you make sure their funnel's smooth. Yeah. You make sure their funnel's smooth. Then you launch it back in your store. And again, you wait 3 or 4 days and this thing's flying. You got no problems.
So
It's a very tricky game.
Strange because like everyone has access to the same product, but not necessarily everyone's gonna do well. It's like trading, right? You might know all the fundamentals, all the news is everywhere, right? But everyone has access, but the action you take is different. The targeting you use is different. The scaling methods you use is different. So it's just life. Everyone does things differently. So, you could probably there's a few factors like I mentioned just now, which could probably increase the chance of probably the success. It's probably just being more patient and allocating sufficient budget for testing a new product.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, mate. And I was just in the back of my head, I'm thinking, why are you so surprised that I launched so many ad sets? But it's probably because of my international targeting. I just drop everywhere, mate. I don't even mess around. I don't even actually do language translations when I drop internationally. I will drop in Philippines. I will drop in, in Malaysia. I'll drop everywhere. I won't do language conversions. I'll just go for it. I'll basically pick 20 interests, and then I'll, times that by 4 because that's the 4 different groups I target, and just let loose. But it's not always the greatest thing because it's a lot of ad spend that's gone that could go somewhere else. But what can I say? That's how I roll.
That's the fast way to actually find winning ad sets, because like watching so many ad sets, you could easily determine which ones are actually converting very well and which one are the losers. I do actually like that technique because we do worldwide with those with that skills as well. That strategy, I would say. Yeah.
Good man. This is a bit of a weird one. Are there anything like any reading material or any interesting books, outside of the e-commerce space that help you manage or, reach your success a bit earlier or anything like that?
Yeah, of course. We do read Blue Ocean Strategy. That kind of like help you think outside the box. Yeah. I like this book very much called Free: The Future of a Radical Price. It actually goes around the freemium model, so like free to play, kind of like a lot. It's actually a model that I really like a lot. So it's something like a free plus shipping actually evolves something from this kind of books, right? The other book I like a lot is probably Trust Me, I'm Lying.
Yes.
So it actually talks about how you could manipulate the whole media to your advantage, but it's actually more suitable to people in the marketing or PR space. But I actually read it because like I felt it's really an eye-opener to how media is being manipulated by a lot of people that knows how to market things.
Okay.
A few more will probably be The Hard Thing About Hard Things and The Lean Startup. Yeah, those are.
Startup. Oh my God, that book! I love that book.
Yeah.
There's 2 things I'm reading in common: The Lean Startup by Eric Ries and Blue Ocean Strategy. Because I don't know if you know this, I'm building my own IT company on the side with all my e-com income. But I'm trying to make sure that I'm entering a blue ocean or creating a blue ocean from the start, because it's going to require a lot of time and energy. I don't want to be competing. I don't want it to be competition, so I'm busy trying to have that same mindset. It's not easy though.
So we're actually reading the same books. That's great.
Okay, quick one. I know we've already had you for almost an hour, so let's give a quick few questions.
Mm-hmm.
So from Adam, can you resume an ad set that's been paused for months, or is it better to duplicate?
So can you repeat the question? Oh, okay, I saw it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, recently there has been good performance for headsets that have been paused for a while.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'll actually test this like on and off, not as a requirement, but sometimes we just, just turn it on just to see if we're lucky and Facebook likes us. That's it.
which seldom happens, right?
There's no strategy in that. It's just probably like how the algorithm works behind the scenes. So probably if you turn on 10, as long as 1 or 2 works, I'll pick that any time of the day.
Adrian, I'm going to skip your question because I think Steve's covered a lot around the VA stuff. Let's go to Saki. Let me just see what this is. Flex. Oh, okay. Let's just say flex or 1 interest per ad that we're launching.
We usually prefer 1 interest per ad set, and we do test US and worldwide at the same time. So probably worldwide is more for, testing engagement, and English-speaking countries is more for sales-oriented conversions. And budget is what I covered before. Is probably how much you're willing to pay per CPA, and you can times it by 2 to 5 times depending on your comfort zone. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, mate. Omar, I'm going to give that one a skip because you had a question come through earlier. Demetrius, which is the best method you use to find products that are likely to be winners? Are there any websites you use to research and find the latest trending products? So, Demetrius, I'm not so sure if this is a good question because he's really separated himself from the rest in what he does and how he finds products. Unless there's anything additional you want to add there, Steve?
One of the things that we do actually check is a lot of tech sites. We do actually check a lot of, we do have a few sites that we actually do check often, but mainly those are in the consumer electronics, Kickstarter, kind of related sites, Indiegogo, Amazon. We do use Amazon a lot. I think it's really underutilized because people think, things that are on Amazon doesn't sell well, which is not true because there are products that does sell well on Amazon and do sell well on outside Amazon as well. So I'll actually recommend, checking more, keeping yourself up to trend with a lot of tech sites or viral kind of product sites like 9gag. They do have a lot of products on and off that goes really viral, and actually it does actually signal a good indication that this product is going to be the next viral product you're going to find.
Nice, mate. I love that. Phil says, what are your top 3 revenue sources? Now, I'm going to guess this is specific to e-commerce because, people who are wealthy generally have multiple income streams. So I'm guessing this is specific to e-com, I'm guessing. Steve, any insight there?
I don't understand the question. So revenue sources for e-commerce? So
I don't know if Phil's asking generally, what are your 3 big revenue streams? I'm not quite sure actually.
So maybe e-commerce, just pure e-commerce.
Cool. So Phil, maybe you can clarify for us. In the meantime, I'm going to go over to Vanessa's question. So she wants to know, where did that question go? Here we go. Do you use custom conversions and custom audiences? And any tips around that?
We used to use custom conversions, but not anymore because it's a hassle. And you have to use a lot of for different niche, you have to create a custom conversion, which we think is actually not worth the time. And we did some split testing, and it doesn't make much of a difference. So we just stick to the same pixel. That's it. But we do a lot of custom conversions, custom audience for our retargeting purposes and creating lookalike audience.
Okay, guys. So I think what you also have to take from Steve here is that sometimes it's better not to overcomplicate things. Custom conversions, it's great depending on what you're trying to do, but I will niche out. If I have a winning product, I'll rather go build a niche store, put a new logo on it, get someone on Upwork to design a quick logo for me, because also all my stores are templated. I can literally extract my template, from Shopify, reinstall it on another store, and be up and running in a couple of hours. So if you want to overcomplicate things, sure, go for it. But I mean, as you'll see from Steve, okay, so Steve Full has clarified for us. Revenue streams for e-com, Facebook ads, Instagram, Google AdWords, Snapchat, Reddit. What's the big money spinner?
The majority is still Facebook, but probably the rest, Facebook is probably like 60%, 60 to 70%. The rest would come from Google AdWords, and the rest would come from SEO.
Cool. Thank you for mentioning that, mate. I think, guys, I think Steve has to go, and I need to go drink some beer. So maybe the last question will be from Ryan. Ryan says, do you use a Facebook brand awareness funnel that feeds to a website clicks funnel, etc.? Or do you keep things simple and use conversion-based ads for your best-selling items? So I think a lot of people have seen this funnel that Facebook has been talking about, where you launch a bunch of video view ads, then you retarget those people based on where they click in your store, and eventually your funnel starts to narrow through Facebook, where you start sending WC ads to them. Do you use anything fancy like that, or is it just straight up WC ads with add to cart and off we go?
I'll just, we just go with WC all the time. We don't mess around with website clicks, link clicks, because I do know a lot of people recommending them, but it just doesn't work for us because we get tons of traffic for really, really cheap CPCs, but it doesn't convert. So there's no point, right? I mean, all you want is traffic that converts. I mean, I could give you 100,000 clicks, but if none of them convert, like the shitty traffic Facebook sent me yesterday, I have 10,000 in loss. It's probably because they sent me super garbage traffic for 10,000 and probably converted only a few hundred. So that is why it made the huge loss, right? So all we focus on are only on website conversion, because I think Facebook is really smart about this. So I mean, we shouldn't challenge our IQ against Facebook, because they have huge PhDs working on the algorithm to find us buyers. So we just focus on what we do best: finding products, driving traffic. I mean, unless you're pushing a lead offer, then probably you should consider website clicks. But if we're just focusing on ROI and sales, I'll just say start off with website conversion from day one.
Okay, magic, mate. Spencer he's definitely an Aussie guy. He says, "Oh my God, it's Steve. Be right back. He's cleaning his jocks." Okay, he obviously is a big fan of yours. Let's see what we got here. I think we'll just take two more, and then we'll say goodbye to Steve and thank him for his time. So Tuan Nguyen, you're gonna have to help. I don't know if you can help me pronounce this. I think it's a Vietnamese name. Tuan Nguyen. Steve, have you turned? And I know you're not Vietnamese before you are. Still bidding Facebook ads on yet? Any feedback from Facebook? Now, I think Steve covered manual bidding a bit earlier. I think he might be talking about the conundrum you faced about, you had the challenge a bit earlier today or yesterday.
Yeah, so, I mean, we didn't turn off our manual bid campaigns. We just kind of reduced the bid so low that Facebook is not going to give us traffic. So we're not planning to turn it back active until we get an answer from Facebook, which we don't have an answer right now yet. So we're actually creating more ads on all auto bids. Magic. And I just want to apologize to the tribe. You'll notice I do jump through questions
I sort of filter them in my head, and I think, what have we covered? What haven't we covered? And then I put the best question forward. So we'll cover this last one by Crystal Ann. She says, "Can you please tell me a little bit about how you split ad sets?" You might be saying how you split test ad sets, or maybe she's saying, how do you split? I don't actually know the question.
So I think we just we create different interests in different ad sets. So that's how we split test interests or lookalike audiences, 1%, 2%, all the way to 10%. So we know exactly which ad sets are giving us the conversion. So I think that might be the question. So I might be wrong, but let's see.
Okay, cool, Steve. Man, I really cannot thank you enough, mate. I really had fun during that, and you're one of my favorite guests so far. So thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate it.
I had fun too.
Good. I look forward to seeing you in Singapore at some point. Sure. And sorry, last question.
Yeah.
What was it like meeting Ezra Firestone?
Yeah, I mean, he's a really, really nice guy. I mean, really down to earth. I enjoyed our conversation with him. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna have a quick call with him tomorrow to discuss some future collaborations or some interviews for the group as well. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of the nicest guys in the e-commerce space I've ever met, and I have a lot of respect for this guy.
Exactly, and yeah, he just comes across as really humble, really relaxed, chilled, sort of very helpful character. I would love to meet him one day, and I'm glad you enjoyed New York, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you do have the chance to meet him in New York, definitely hang out with him. He has tons of knowledge. If you could get him here, for an interview, definitely be great for the chat too.
It's already on the mind. I'm already planning it. So I just got to find an angle. So okay, mate. Look, thank you, Tribe, for joining us. I know you've got a lot of value from Steve. So yeah, there's a lot of thank yous coming through. And Steve, keep very well, mate.
Thanks, Jar, for having me in your tribe. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, bro. Cheers. Keep on.